Hello everyone and welcome back to this episode of the Furtadio Experience. The experience listened to on audio or YouTube that leaves you feeling more conscious, more engaged, and more fulfilled in your life to magnify your impact as a leader on humanity. So let's dive in. And word leader, right? What in the world does that mean? Well, that is for you to define, and stay tuned because I have some leadership podcast news coming very, very soon. But let's dive into this episode, and this is basically a tribute, but also an opportunity to learn from someone who is one of the early influences on my leadership style and just who I am as a person. But to be honest, like at the time, I didn't know, right? And I think that's one of the greatest and coolest things about working with, especially youth, but also being able to work with humans in general. Is like, if you think about it, a lot of the work is planting seeds. And I know for me, sometimes we can become impatient in terms of just wanting to see results really quickly, but you got to plant the seeds before you can kind of like water the garden and see your vegetables, your flowers, whatever you're planting come to fruition. And it depends on what you're planting, but that is another story for another day. Am I right? So Mr. Hart, he passed away, I believe, in 2012 or 2013, around then. So a little less than 10 years ago now to recording date. And he was a very, very prominent and very impactful, teacher at Fieldbrook Elementary School, which is a K through 8th in a very small school. So very, very intricate, very intimate, and an opportunity for him to really get to know everyone, and he just had such a marvelous impact on so many people, and there's a lot of leadership qualities, but the one that really sticks out to me is his ability. Obviously he was very compassionate and caring individual, carried a lot of empathy, but also at the same time he was just a relationship builder. But I do believe that stems from him caring so much. So the story I want to share is when I was in 7th grade, caring about my Justin Bieber haircut, making sure, am I the coolest guy in school? Am I the coolest guy on my sports teams? And all that good jazz, right? And, in 7th grade, the world revolves around you. I think, 7th graders, there's something about 7th grade that's just different, in between 6th and 8th, and just trying to figure out all these hormones and everything going on. It's a funky year. There's no other way to put it than it's just funky. And so I was really in my own world. But that being said, my mom was unfortunately diagnosed with breast cancer around that time. I believe it was 7th grade. Memory's a little hazy, but I remember Mr. Hart saying good morning to me every single morning, and then asking, how's mom? And it wasn't just like how's mom, right? Like, he actually genuinely, he's like, basically expected this 7th grader who, probably was not thinking about his mom at this time, selfishly, of course, I'm in my own world, but really was like, what's the report? What's the status? Like, really, really genuinely cared about my mom's health. And, as I look back on it, and I've been reflecting a lot about on like why I want to be a leader, an impactful leader, and some of my styles and how I approach leadership and just the workplace in general. A lot of it, I believe, stems from him, also my grandpa, but we'll keep 1% at a time, and it's as simple things as just saying hello. And the reason he was so beloved in the Fieldbrook Elementary community, Humboldt community, was because he cared so much. I mean, he got to know people, right? It's that genuine, like, question asking, and I believe that's like so important for leaders to do, and it's something that I embody. When I enter coaching, I make sure to give knucks to every single basketball player before the start of class or the start of practice, because you got to be like, hey, I see you, right? That's so important. And even in 7th grade, he planted that seed in in my mind, like, oh, he sees me, and he sees my mom, who's not even here with me right now, but because he knows me, he knows my story, my family. Because before he was still getting to know me, right? Like, it's not like it came out of nothing. He's just listening, like always listening. I think that's it. That's an really important skill when it comes to like actually like building, relationships. Is it's easy for us to continue to talk, and as I'm talking, but really listen to the people around you. I think it's an incredibly powerful skill. A lot of it's very, very simple, right? But are you like actively listening? Are you actively being curious about the people around you, right? Because you can be a leader in your family or wherever. Leadership doesn't just show up in the workplace, right? It shows up, in your community. And I think it's a real responsibility of a leader. If you consider yourself a leader, to get to know the people around you, like genuine questions, genuine curiosity, genuine listening. And really it starts from that compassion of what can you do for others. I talk a lot about like servant leadership. It's like being there for others, like actually like doing your best to serve others and make an impact on them. And it's about, because Mr. Hart had an impact on me, but he also, like, from doing a little bit of research and trying to find some pictures of him when I was doing some writing about him, I stumbled across some Facebook posts from 2013 or whenever he passed away, and he impacted a lot of people. And and think about this: if he can impact an incredible amount of people in a small rural area. Like, just think about that. And I do think, that's one thing I really value is community, because I was from such a small community, and like that's a higher emphasis. But it's the possibility for teachers, coaches, and leaders to really impact people. Like, that's what has me fired up and truthfully working on another podcast about that exactly. So thank you for listening to share my story about Mr. Hart. I'm curious for you all. I would like to just, give you all the question: who in your life, especially outside of your family, like I'm sure there are people in your family, like I said, my grandpa or other people that really, really care. But think about those other people, those other influences that have really impacted you, and think about why. Think about what leadership characteristics that they really exemplified, and you have kind of thought about, and also like just embody now that you're a leader. So just food for thought. Hope you all have a wonderful Thanksgiving. Recording this a few days before this will probably be the last episode for the week. And I hope y'all have sent in some love, sent in some gratitude for you listening. And yeah, until next time, my friends. Cheers.